Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another beautiful Monday, January the 17th, 2022. I am astronumerologist Lloyd Strayhorn for your host with Live with Lloyd, where the joy of numerology is the joy of learning and especially enlightenment, if nothing else. Okay. Anyway, as you see, I have a very special guest on. I had the very distinguished gentleman and good friend out of Detroit, where she is from, by the way, my guest, Dominic Holmes, and he talked a little bit about quantum physics. And I made a reference that, you know what, I got somebody coming on this Monday whose specialty, in fact, she is a quantum metaphysician. So we're going to do that. But in the meantime, I was told to like, share, and subscribe. And also, they said push a button for notification. I don't know where the button is. If you don't know where the button is, God bless you. Push it if you want to kind of be in the loop of what's going on. But you know my attitude. Hold on one second. Let me do this. Okay. I'm about to get this together here. Okay. Here we go. Now, if you like the show, if you sincerely like some of the guests I've had on or all the guests, then definitely share the information. Okay. If you like it, beautiful. If you, what's that? Also, subscribe. Subscribe me if you want to follow. And then they said push a button. Now, where that button is, the notification, I don't know where it is, but probably you'll get it on that end. Okay. Anyway, let me explain the cosmic forecast. The moon, excuse me, the sun is still in the sign of Capricorn. Okay. It's been there since December the 21st, 22nd. The moon today is a full moon. So actually, it officially turned full moon at 6:48 p.m., which is just about a half hour ago. I mean, the moon has been out there a couple of days for those that have walked out at night, if it hasn't been too cold in your region where you live. But you can see the full moon in all of its brightness, and you can still see it tonight. But today is officially a full moon day. Okay. And it started at 6:48 p.m. And uh, by the way, at 11:08 tonight, the moon shifts from Cancer into Leo. All right. So all Leos or anybody born after 11 o'clock tonight, you will be a Cancer, but your moon will be in the sign of Leo when you go up the road of life and get a chart done on yourself. All right. The time you were born depends upon what time of your rising or your ascendant. Anyway, so Mercury is retrograde. That means since this is an emotional day, since the full moon heightens one's sensitivities and things like that, be careful what you say. Make sure you think before you just open your mouth and put out words that you can't take back. All right. I know the day is almost over. You're saying like, okay, Lord, you're just telling me now, but better late than never. We still got some hours before this day is over. It's a 7 universal month, which is I added 2022, the present year we're in. I added to the first position month. So 6 plus 1 is 7, which is a spiritual month. So those under the signs of Cancer and Pisces, or born on the 2nd, the 7th, the 11th, the 16th, the 20th, the 25th, or the 29th, this is a good month. And since 7 is more spiritual, it suggests, only my suggestion only, that you don't chase after what you want, but this month, magnetize what you want by simply thinking about it. Okay. It's one universal week, a time to jumpstart and get some things going the way you want to. And it's a 6 universal day, which deals with romance, finance, relationships, health, exercise, schooling, adjusting, signing up for courses, losing weight, exercise, all that stuff like that. Alrighty. Now, I need to get to my very, very, very special guest, Audrey Rumbers. Audrey, how are we today, young lady?
I am doing wonderful, Lloyd. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh man, this is great. This is great. One thing when I remember when I first met you, I was just blown away with your knowledge of what you do. Okay. And being a quantum metaphysician. When a person hears, at least the average Black person hears quantum physics, we think that's out of our realm. Is that
And not
true?
just Black people, most people, period.
Really?
When
Why
you
is
mention
that?
quantum physics. Well, I think because science, kind of scares us. We think it's just so complicated. And especially when you're talking about physics, we think of it as all of these formulas and mathematical equations, but it's those numbers are just used to represent this reality that we live in. So it's, you know, it's just like speaking in two different languages. They speak in the language of academia and mathematics, but we just speak in layman's language, but we still can talk about the same things.
To a layperson, how would you define quantum physics that a layperson would understand?
Yeah, I try to get to the most fundamental definition of quantum physics, because that's the way I had to learn, learn about what it actually is. And my most simplest definition of quantum physics is the study of very, 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 very small things. And when they studied these small things, meaning subatomic particles, what they found out is that when they looked at these subatomic particles at a quantum level, that the laws of physics broke down. And everything that we thought is or wasn't at that level. And it's like, how is that possible? Because you're just going smaller, you're not changing anything. But yet when they look at the subatomic level of things are really strange, and it just changed the way they thought about science. And the classical physics just basically had to be thrown out the window, and we had to start all over, because it's a totally different perception of this reality when you look at it at quantum level.
How in the world did you get on this path that led toward quantum physics?
Well, I worked at Wayne State University here in Detroit for like 26 years. And a little bit less than 20 of those years I spent in the Department of Physics and Astronomy. And during that time, I worked on the largest quantum physics research they're doing at CERN, which is a laboratory in Switzerland, Geneva, Switzerland, where they built the largest machine on Earth, and it's called the Large Hadron Collider. And they're doing these.
Well, what's the name of it again?
Large Hadron Collider.
Okay.
Right. And basically what that is, hadron is just a class of subatomic particles. And this big, large machine that they built at CERN, which is like 17 miles in diameter, is
that wide, really?
Yeah. Yeah. So you would have to drive 17 miles just to go around the complete circle that they built. And it's underground. It's so large that it crosses the actual circular machine that they built crosses over two countries of Switzerland and France. So it's huge. And it's really weird that you have to build something that large in order to study something so small.
Yeah, that does seem kind of paradoxical.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened? So you were there for 26 years at Wayne State University, working the last 20 years in the physics department. Then what happened? What led you to what you do now? How did you see it?
Well, okay, it's kind of weird, the story. I mean, the way it all came about, because in actuality, I was really interested in ancient history, Black ancient history, ancient Egyptian history, and ancient African history. I was studying that, and then I'm at work at Wayne State, and I'm working on this physics, which I had no idea about. I didn't know anything about physics when I first started working there. But, just being around something, you kind of start picking up things and, hearing things and things of that nature. But what happened was the things I was learning about ancient history and the things that they were talking about in this quantum physics area, they sounded familiar. And I just, even though I couldn't believe it, but it still was there. I'm like, wow, these concepts, because I've read so many books about, ancient Egypt and their cosmology and all of these things and the way that they perceive the world. And we would say that, okay, these people didn't know what they were talking about. But here we are now in the 21st century, we're talking about things, concepts, you know what I'm saying, that they were talking about that we thought were impossible. But now quantum physics is telling us, no, all of these things are possible. For instance, the concept of being in two places at the same time.
Interesting. I've heard of that, trying to be in two places at the same time.
Yeah. Well, okay. when you're talking about quantum physics, it's kind of counterintuitive, because time doesn't exist. So even when I'm saying you're being in two places at the same time, it's really no time. So everything is happening at once. Okay, you have to see this on a subatomic level. It's really, it's kind of strange to try to explain it because it's not the way we're usually used to thinking about the world around us and things of that nature. So let me see. Let me try to think of a good example. Give me something else. Let me think about that for a minute.
No
Okay.
problem. And
Just
in fact, that led me to ask, there's this new concept out called now the metaverse.
oh yes.
I don't know whether you're familiar with that.
Oh,
Does that
mhm.
relate to quantum physics? And you know what I'm
Well,
saying?
I think it all relates to quantum physics because quantum physics takes us. I call quantum physics spirit science. That's
Spirit science?
spirit science. Yeah, because
Interesting.
you're going beyond the physical. You see, science,
Hmm.
classical science is all about the physical. Everything is physical. This is the way it's made up. Whereas quantum physics is going a layer deeper into saying, okay, what brought the physical to being? And it come to find out that when you look at things at a quantum level, they aren't things. They aren't that. There's no things, and it's hard for people to understand that because we're saying, of course, there are things. We're looking at things, but when you spoke of the metaverse is going to be a place where you're going to think you're feeling things and doing things, but you aren't. But because they put you in this virtual reality, you think that you're actually interacting in that way. So that's what I'm saying. It's almost, to me, it's like we're going from a physical age to a digital or spiritual age.
You know
And
what's interesting, Audrey? There was a piece I saw on one of these media sites where the guy that had on these big goggles, I guess that's what the metaverse thing is about, and he actually dove into the TV.
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know what that's about. And then they had another one where the guy was, I guess he was boxing and fell over.
yes.
And I'm
Well,
saying,
well,
okay,
here's the thing. They tell us all the information we want to know about these things in movies. There's a movie, Ready Player One. I'm like, yep, there it is. That's what they're trying to create. There's a movie called Surrogates, with Bruce Willis. If you watch those movies, they're going to tell you that's exactly where we're going. Exactly where they tell us about it all the time. We just think it's fantasy and it's not real, but it is. And the metaverse it's going to be like a virtual reality world. And when I listened to Dominic, his program, and he's exactly right. It's going to be so different from what we perceive as the norm now, just like the internet. you
hmm
know
hmm
we can't even imagine our lives without the internet, but there was not too long ago it didn't even really exist in our world. And this virtual reality, it's taking over, and it's going to happen, and we're going to be, and it's just like the internet. You can either use it for just playing games and for your entertainment, or you can use it for some really serious work or study and research.
What
So
about somebody, Audrey, who is kind of like mentally between reality and unreality, which is why they got to take medicine? Would the metaverse be to their advantage or disadvantage? What do you think?
well, it all depends. It's so new right now. And it's just like asking someone about the internet when it first came out. What would it be able to? You couldn't even imagine.
Yeah,
And I
that's
don't
true.
think we can even imagine what this metaverse is going to be like right now, besides watching movies. You know what I'm saying? And so, I mean, like, it could be where someone like him, it might be good for them. It may be some type of virtual therapy or something of that nature. You know what I'm saying? That we just can't conceive of right now. But it's coming. All of these things are coming.
Just to go back, you said you had always had an interest in history, Egyptian, and stuff like
Mhm,
that.
mhm.
Are you saying that quantum physics actually comes out of the land of Egypt or Africa? Is
Yes, I
that what
am.
you're saying?
Yes, I am. And I'll tell you how I can tell. And that's why one of the pictures I had sent you, I sent it a little bit too late to just give you an idea of how the past and the present are kind of merging together, in a sense, because there's a book, and I always mention this book because this book, it just confirmed everything I thought about as far as the relationship between ancient Egyptian teachings and quantum physics. And that book is called The Ankh, The Electromagnetic Origins of no, The African Origins of Electromagnetism.
Can
And
you
that's what
repeat that title one more time for somebody that might want to get it? What's the
yeah,
name of the book?
the name of the book is The Ankh, The African Origins of Electromagnetism.
That's a deep title right there.
It's very deep because what we create is electromagnetic calorimeters. You
Who?
see, electromagnetic calorimeters. That's what we were building at Wayne State and at CERN. So it's all about electromagnetism. And so when I read that book, the man, I said, he's right. He's right, because what he was saying is that, we look at the writings and in the temples of Egypt, and we tend, I think I'll say the researchers tend to give very simplistic explanations for what they're saying. And I think, like many things that we find, there are levels of understanding. And so if you look at it on the surface, you may see a simple, message or something like that. But if you look at it deeper, you will actually see quantum physics concepts all through there. And when I started with the quantum physics, studying it, and I started looking at those pictures again, I started noticing a lot of the Egyptian pictures, they have people who look just alike. They're like carbon copies. And I'm like, why do they have all of these carbon copies of the, lined up? And then I started to realize, oh, they're talking about parallel universes.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Mm-hmm. This is what I'm saying. And then it's like, what do you mean? But if you read their readings, they talk about these things like the emerald tablets. There's so many readings out here. If you just take the time to research them, it's right there for you. And
so what you think is new is actually ancient. Is
Exactly. And I went to my boss when I was working at Wayne State. And when I was, coming up with these ideas, and I went into his office and I said, I said exactly what I told you. I'm studying ancient history, and these concepts are the same. And the first thing he said was that, well, that can't be possible because they didn't discover quantum physics till the 1930s, I believe. And I said, no, I know when you discovered it, but I'm saying, these things, because I recognize patterns. It's just something about it. I can just recognize patterns, like that sounds like that, and this sounds like that. Mm-hmm, and then he said, well, you know what they say, there's nothing new under the sun,
Oh, so that was his next thing that he came up with then.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, if you even study the quantum physicists, Fermi, oh my gosh, I can't remember their names, but when I was looking into them, all of them studied the ancients. So why would they do that?
Yeah, if it only started in the 1930s.
You see, so I'm saying they understood that there was connection between the past and the present. And they studied these things, but they don't tell us that. They don't let us know that connection. They don't want us to know that connection.
So now, how does quantum, so to the layperson now that you're breaking it down, how can we use this knowledge to our advantage so we can empower ourselves?
Yes.
Be more aware of our surroundings, environment, whatever the case is.
Well, it's just this thing that you'll hear people saying that you create your own reality. That's something now people are saying, starting to talk about things like that. That's quantum physics. When quantum physics saying that you, the person, you affect everything in which you interact with. You affect everything. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so even though we think that things are coming from the outside in actuality, things are coming from the inside out. It's so, it's so.
You're saying that actually a lot of the things we do that appears outward actually starts inward?
Exactly. And that is from our reality of what we perceive as our reality out here still starts from inside of you. Everything is a perception. You know what I'm saying? It's not whether it's true or not. It's like you create your reality. Okay, for instance, Um, I give you an example of something that happened. Okay, for instance, Kwame. Okay, with Kwame, the pyramid I made for Kwame Brown.
Yes, yeah,
Right.
bust life. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Now, when I made that pyramid, when I decided to create that pyramid, I didn't know him. I had no idea. I didn't know who he was, whatever. I just saw his YouTube. I started watching him and I felt a kindred spirit. And I just wanted to bring that energy to him. Now, when I made the pyramid, I had no idea how he was going to get it. I had none of that. But in me, I said, I'm making him this pyramid. I'm going to get him this pyramid. See, right then, I'm creating my own reality. Because someone else's reality could say, oh, no, I can't do that because how am I going to get it? And how am I going to do it? You know, and so they're creating a reality where it's like, okay, well, you're not going to do it because you just created the reality with the way that you're thinking. You see what I'm saying? You've already determined that it's not going to happen. But I was determined, even though I didn't know how, you see. But I understand because I understand that we're all connected to this. All of this is connected. We're all connected. Everything's connected. And
Well,
it's all energy.
that means, Audrey, that a person, because the whole thing, at least a lot of times people ask me and astrologers and other people, and our thing is always about relationships, or that they're lonely, or they don't have a mate or something like that. You're saying by simply the change of the thought of the person inside,
That's
it will
right.
actually affect the results on the outside at some point.
Yes. And I don't mean just in no general, I mean, actually your thoughts can affect physical things, and before we would think that, but we would say that was not, that was pseudoscience and, things of that nature. When people would say certain things happen, they say was not possible, like, spontaneous, a person can just spontaneously combust. I've seen that, or spontaneously cure themselves. And I'm saying, how is this possible in this physical world? That's why it was so confusing to me. And that's why I understand why it would be confusing to other people, because it's like, no, we have been taught forever and ever that if you're sick, you need medicine.
Yes.
You need something physical to fix something physical. But yet, when you have people who have cancers and things, that I've heard stories of this, I've seen this, whereas their bodies are just spontaneously healed in so many different ways. In the classical physical world, that can't happen. That's impossible. But in quantum physics world, all of that's possible. There's no such thing as time. There's no such thing as space. Everything is happening at the same time. And because we've been taught this other way for so long, it takes us a while to reroute our brains to start thinking and perceiving everything around us differently. Quantum physics,
that is so deep what you just said. If a
changed my
person
life.
starts thinking in terms of the modality of quantum physics, it can literally change their whole environment. Is that what you're saying? Their whole outer world that they live in and experience in relationships and careers?
Yes. All of these things are determined by your perception. Now, I'm going to tell you something that makes this point. In the quantum physics world, they have an experiment. They call it the granddaddy of all quantum physics experiments, and it's called the double slit experiment. And what this experiment showed, I'm going to try to make it really simple. It's like this. Say if I had a gun, and I was shooting some balls out of it.
Yes.
And I shot them up against a wall, and I shot them down a slit. Say I got a slit like this, and I shoot these little particles through this slit. And they hit a wall, and they're going to line up just like this, because here's the area. They're going through here, and they're just going to eventually line up like this. Well, what they found out is when you get on a quantum level, if you shoot those round balls, and this is not exactly, but I'm trying to make it very simple. If you shoot those round balls on a quantum level up against that wall, they're going to it's going to look like squares hit the wall. You're shooting round things against the wall, but when it gets to the wall, it's a square. They shot a particle, but when it hit the wall, it made it look like it was a wave. I'm trying to think of what's the word, but anyway, what I'm saying is that it started as one thing. By the time it hit the wall, it's another thing. How is that possible? So what they
Yeah, how is that possible?
well, see, that's the weirdness of the quantum physics world. Because so what they said was they said, well, maybe we oh no, what they sent it through two slits. I'm sorry, I'm totally screwing up this experiment, but it's the most fundamentally amazing things, basically saying that a particle can somehow turn into a wave like that. And then here's the thing. This is it depends whether it's a particle or wave depends on whether you're watching it.
Excuse me?
Mhm. Whether that particle is a wave or stays a particle depends on if you're watching it.
That gets back
You
to
determine.
perception.
Goes back to perception. Is what you it's like it goes back to being what you think it is when you're watching it. When they measured it, it's amazing. It's you can find this double slit experiment. I love Dr. Quantum, who's a little character, cartoon character. He tells you, explains these concepts. And it was mind-boggling to me because I was like, how is this possible? And basically they said that at the quantum level, everything is just possibilities. It's just possibilities, waves of possibilities, not physical anything. It's like, so any and everything is already here. It's just where you put your attention. Where
But
you put your
we have been obviously educated and programmed to just think in one physical realm, and not the one that really takes us to the whole different level once we understand the laws behind quantum physics, as it simply starts by perceptions. It starts within the
It
person and
starts
manifests
with
outward.
us. Exactly. And we all affect everything that we are in contact with in some way. So when I'm working at Wayne State and I'm learning all of these concepts, it's just blowing my mind. I just can't believe this is what they're telling me. I'm like, is this science? Is this real? And it's like, yeah. And so I really got into, trying to understanding it and learning it. And, you be around people for so long, especially when you have a curious mind like myself, you're going to kind of want to get into the, weeds of this. What exactly is going on here? And so once I learned that it's all about the individual, it's hard for us to believe that we have that much power, but we do, and it's only because we don't believe we have it that we can't use it. But once you know, and it's not even belief, it's a knowing. And that's when I listened to Dominic.
I was going to bring up his name. Dominic said the same thing.
That's why when I saw him, I was like, oh my gosh, he's in Detroit. Oh my goodness. Because, when you're doing these things and you kind of feel alone and you don't know, there are other people out there, but you never really get to see them, especially someone in your own city. And when I saw him, I heard him, I said, oh my gosh, that's why I know that the energy is spreading. You know what I'm saying? We're starting to wake up. We're starting to understand that we are more powerful than we ever thought. And we can manifest things. We just have to know. The only thing that's stopping us, then this is basically, I'm learning this from quantum physics, because it's like, well, you are whatever you think you are. Like my boss is a quantum physicist. I said, Now, there was a time when I thought, oh, I could never do that. But then I realized that's the only reason why I couldn't do it is because I said I couldn't do it. That's only
we limit ourselves by our way of thinking.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. And now I'm like, oh heck, I could be a quantum physicist. I could be whatever I want to be, as long as I'm willing to put in the effort, what I'm saying, the time, the interest. And that's how I've learned so much that I know now, is because I was so intrigued. It was just like a kid, learning how to walk all over again, how to perceive things, how to look at things, and be able to see the similarities. Because that's another thing about quantum physics. It shows you the similarities of things. They call it symmetry. I call it recognizing patterns. It's just the same thing, because this world is just like the same thing, the same processes over and over and over again, which brings me to the golden ratio that we were talking about.
Now, what is the golden ratio for those that don't understand?
Yeah, now
it has to do with nature, I think, right?
Pardon me?
It has to do with nature, the golden ratio.
Yes, it does have to. It has to do with everything. It has to do with everything. It's like a sequence of numbers. They call the Fibonacci sequence. It's numbers where you have the The last two numbers, you add them together to get the next number. Then the last two numbers, you add it, and it goes like that. So it's like you start with 0, 1, that's 1, right? And then 1 and 1, and that's 2, and then 1 and 2, and that's 3, and then 3 and 2 is 5. So
That's numerology.
it is. Yes, numerology is in everything. That's what I'm
That's
saying.
exactly what that is to me.
Yes, absolutely. Everything is involving numbers, but I'm starting to have an idea why I think that's the case. And the golden ratio is like a clue to me. Now, this is just my personal perception. Someone could say she's nuts, and that's fine because
You're right.
I
Okay.
think about these things, you know what I'm saying? And I just like to kind of put my ideas out there. And the golden ratio is something that you see in everything. Now, I'll give you for me to understand, this is one of the best examples. It was like if you hold out your arm like this, okay, the golden ratio is 1, the ratio is 1 to 1.116. In other words, okay, if this part of my arm is 1, right, from my shoulder to my elbow, from my elbow to my fingers, is going to be exactly 1/16 more. No, okay, 1 to 1.6, right? That's the ratio. From here, if this is 1, then this part is going to be 1.6. If you more than this one. Do you understand what I'm saying when you're talking about ratios?
That can be from the leg to the thigh if you did it that way too.
It's all in our bodies and our finger bones. Like if this is 1, like say if this was 1 inch, I know it's less than that. Let's say this bone was 1 inch long. Then this next bone would be 1.6 inches long. And then if this one is 1.6 inches long, then this next one down to the other part will be 1.6, a ratio to the next bone, the bone that was next to it.
That's amazing.
If you measure from your head to your belly button, that's 1. If you go from your belly button to your toe, that would be 1.6. You see what I'm saying? Everywhere it's this measurement. I'm just saying it from a layman's perspective because I didn't really study it deeply, but I was amazed by it because I'm like, how is that possible? Because that's like saying something about intelligent design. Like this just didn't just happen. So I knew this, and then I found out about the physicist James Gates. And James Gates is a Black physicist who found computer code embedded in nature. I keep saying, do you guys hear what this man is saying?
What's his name again?
James Gates. He found, and then he said it's not just any old computer code. He said it's error correcting code like a computer. I'm like, what? How is that possible? But then if you think about the golden ratio, that's everywhere. It's hard for me to explain because I didn't get really deep into it, but I was just noticing that what he said, I'm saying, wait a minute, they said a golden ratio. Okay, so everything is built this way, everything is set up in a certain way. You know what I'm saying? It's the same things happening over and over again in different ways. They say flowers. If you look at a flower and if you count the petals on the flower, it's going to be a Fibonacci number. Like it's either going to be 3, 5, 8, and 13, and it just goes on and on.
And the sequence goes.
Yeah, and you just keep seeing this recurring pattern in things. If you do it in art, it makes it more aesthetically pleasing to the eye, because it's something about that ratio of things. It's a weird thing, but to me, it still says something about. I don't want simulate. Okay, computer simulations. I'm just going to say computer simulations. It feels like this is computer simulation, and if that's the case, then quantum physics would make absolute sense. I know.
But that's the most amazing thing, and what a difference. If we were taught this at an early stage, either in our home, in the educational system, What a dip. Actually, this would be a much better world.
Yes.
Actually.
And that's why many people think that the powers that be don't want us to know this. They don't want us to understand the power that is within each of us, and it comes because everything comes from thought. Everything that's out here came from here.
That's Dominic, my guest.
Everything.
That was him. That's him.
Yeah, everything it came from here and it came out there. And it's like I said, I understand that it's counterintuitive, but once you start to get your brain to kind of, change the way it is going, kind of back up and kind of, go a different way and start trying to think of a different way, then you're able to see these things, like, okay, I have this thing about everything is like a person. Like you wouldn't think that a car was like a person on the surface. You'd be like, that's a car, you're a person. But no, but if you really look at it, a car, it eats,
Yes.
it does all the things. Look, it has a face, it has its eyes, its mouth, it's like, it's almost to me like
It's just how we look at it.
It's how we look at it. And I think that we, as the spiritual beings, like he said, we are here having a physical experience that is so true. And I think us as physical beings is like us getting into our car when we come into this body. And we drive it around, and we do all these physical things we can do in this body. But, eventually it's going to kind of break down. It's not going to last forever. But you keep driving, you get it fixed, and then you drive some more, and then your car is so old, and it's finally, the car's done. You can't go anywhere.
Kaput. Yeah.
But you don't die with the car. You get out. See, that's what
Excuse me?
You don't die with the car. When your car dies, do you die with it? Say, oh, my car's dead, so I'll just be here. I ain't know where to go. No, you say, okay, that car's dead. I've got to go. This is what this is. It's our car. I call it a meat suit. It's not who we are.
So in other words, once this physical car symbolically we have expire, then we still go on beyond that.
Exactly, of course. Go get another car. Get another car, newer model. It's just how you have to. Everything is the same.
That's deep, Audrey.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm driving this car and I'm going to try to take care of it. And, I wanted to keep it running good and all of those things. Of course I do, because it benefits me. It gets me from point A to point B. It gets me here. Let me do all this stuff in this physical world. But this is not who I am. This is what I'm wearing. My spiritual body is wearing this. I mean, my spiritual being is wearing this physical body. It's everyone. It's just it.
That is so deep. I hope people really grasp the concept of what you said. That's like, and maybe people will begin to look at themselves in a whole different light as a result too.
This is what I'm saying. This is what I believe. And that's why I was so happy to see Dominic, because I when I first started this and I was wondering how is the average person just walking around going to know this stuff? I mean, it's like, how are they going to know this? And a voice or something just came to me and it said, don't worry about that. Don't worry about it. I said, just do what you do in your sphere of influence. What you can do, don't worry about the whole world, because you get overwhelmed. It's like, don't worry, but just do your thing. And then understanding that, I'm not the only one. And then
you just take care of your car.
Exactly right. And and help other people with their cars that I can help. I can't help everybody.
True.
But we help each other. I mean, it's like it's a great mosaic of talents that we have that we don't even recognize. We think we have to be something special, but quantum physics says, no, you don't. Because you are, and you can do whatever you want to do, as long as you know it.
It sounds like a very complicated word, yet it's very simplistic.
Absolutely. And that's what I learned, is that in actuality, nothing is really complicated. It's just it starts off with a simple foundation and it builds up in complexity. But you can just break it down into its most, fundamental simplest form, just like quantum physics. Like you say, how do you describe it? Well, in its most fundamental form, it's just a study of very, very small things. That's what it is. That's what it is. And the only thing that makes that's the only thing that created the science is that when they looked at things that small, things didn't add up. It didn't add up. So they had to create a whole area of study now to figure out, wait a minute, what were, you know, what were we, where did we go wrong? How could this be possible? And they've been studying it ever since. And basically what they've been doing is coming back to metaphysical concepts that they told us was pseudoscience.
Interesting. It's like going full circle. Question. I know we have DNA. Is there a cosmic DNA or double helix, as they call it? What is that?
Now that's another aspect of what I want to talk about, because, you know, a lot of times we find ourselves talking about what those who do not want to see us advance are doing in order to stop us from advancing. So I'm saying, well, are there other things that can show us where there's help, you know, in our advancement? And when I was working at Wayne State, I was studying science, whatever, and I came across this article about this double helix DNA coming out of the center of the Milky Way. And I sent you a picture of it.
This is it here.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, explain, continue.
Okay, so that's basically something that is streaming out the center of the Milky Way galaxy. And it is streaming out like DNA. And what made me really pay attention, because they were saying they had never seen anything like this before. They had never seen anything acting like this in the cosmos before. And I'm looking at that and I'm like, well, where is it going? And I started to think, now wouldn't it be something if that was our upgrade? If that was our, the trigger for us to awaken. I don't know. It was weird. Why would DNA be coming out of the middle of the center of the Milky Way galaxy?
That is true. That's
like 2016, I think.
This was taken around about 2016, you're saying?
Yeah. And so it's still streaming out. It's just streaming out. So if that was 2016, we're in 2022. You know, well, where is it at now? And where is it going? That's what I want to know. So I just, like I said,
you ask research questions. That's what you do.
Yeah,
I can tell.
I don't know. But I thought that was just a lot of things that just kind of passed by. I'm like, well, wait a minute, let's look at that again, because it just seems to connect with the age of Aquarius. You know, we keep hearing about the dawning of the new age and things of this nature, and some kind of upgrade. And when I saw that DNA, I'm like, I wonder how many people realize this thing is here and wondering what it's about.
Well, you know, as a side, I wanted to ask you this. You create some of the most amazing pyramids. Is that quantum physics related?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's what I call, when I created my pyramids, I called it like ancient future concepts, right? Because I'm still seeing this connection. My pyramids, okay, after I learned all of these things, working with these quantum physicists at Wayne State, and started understanding the energy and how much power we have and how we can change things, I started studying how I could use these things. And because I understood that this was connected to the ancient knowledge, I kind of combined the two studies. So what I did was, because I had been studying pyramids and pyramid power and you know, how these pyramids were built and what they were built for and things of that nature, I understood that the ancients, they knew there was some type of power with just the pyramidal shape itself. Because I don't know if you remember, but I think like in the 70s, people used to put food and things under pyramids.
I did too. Yes, I did. And some people still do, and sleep under pyramids.
Absolutely, because they know there's an energy there. So, okay, so there's there's the pyramidal shape that has an energy. And then what I did was I used crystals, also part of the ancient knowledge of crystals, the power of crystals, and even that ancient knowledge, because quartz crystals are used in all of our electronics. They use quartz crystals, but to us, quartz crystals are just, you know,
Quartz crystals.
yeah, regular crystals, but why are they using them? Because they understand the power with them that we don't, because they do give off an energy, all crystals, but especially quartz crystals are a very special type of crystal. There was the legend of the crystal skulls. I don't know if you know about that, but it's where these skulls were supposed to have been made long, many years ago, and they were made with such precision that they can't understand how they were made, first of all, and there are stories of things that happen with these crystal skulls.
Let me ask you this, because you made some crystals for me that I will show people later, but I want to give a demonstration. And one of the things you decided to do as part of your quantum physics experiences, you make pyramids with fiber optics.
Yeah, that's the.
How do you get those things?
The fiber optics?
Yeah.
The fiber optics are this. Okay. Federally funded projects are known for waste.
Excuse me?
Federally funded projects, which is what I was on, are known for waste. You say that. They're known for waste. They buy all of these things, they do their experimentation, and once the experimentation is over, the stuff that they bought, they just kind of like
get rid of it.
Yeah. And so fiber optics are used in the building of the Large Hadron Collider. And so when I learned about what they were and how energy flows through them, once the project was over and we had fiber optics left over. So I said, okay, I'll use those. Yeah. So because I was there, I had access to something that no one else would have access to.
That is absolutely amazing. When did you make your first pyramid?
Wow, when did I make my first pyramid? When I started, let me see. I think I started, the project ended in 2012. And I was doing it. So I think I started in like maybe 2011. But in actuality, I started making organite pieces, which are basically layered metals, and where you create energy. You're going to tap into energy with these very, very common items. Okay. And from that, I started to think about how to make them even more more powerful. And that's when I thought about the pyramidal shape. The pyramidal shape, the crystal I put in my pyramids are rose quartz crystals. I chose rose quartz because I wanted to tap into positive energy. I wanted to find a stone that was about love, because for me, that was the thing that's missing from our equations. That love part is very important, but I don't think we put much emphasis on that. And I just wanted to bring more of that energy. So I got the most loving stone that I felt was out there, and which was rose quartz. So I have to. Mm-hmm.
No. Go ahead. I'm go ahead. I'm just too excited. Go right ahead. I'll calm down in a minute.
So what I did was, with the fiber optics, I put the fiber optics in all four sides of the pyramid, and they meet at the apex. And the reason why I did that is because light flows through fiber optics. So when you see my pyramids, all of them will have this little green light at the very tip of the pyramid, which is where the fiber optics.
This is an example of one right here, right?
Yeah. And because light flows through fiber optics, light carries information. I mean, there's so many things around us we don't really understand how they affect us, but light has information on light waves. So when the light flows through the fiber optics, the information is flowing on the light waves. The information I'm giving giving to the flow is the energy of the crystal.
Here's another one.
Mm-hmm. So that energy is basically flowing through those fiber optics. You can see at the very bottom, you can see the light kind of coming down. If you put it under a UV light, you can really see
Yep.
the fiber optics glowing. And that's because the light is constantly flowing through the fiber optics and it's carrying the energy of the crystal. So it's constantly like transmuting the negative energy. It's just pulling that energy because quartz crystals not only transmit energy, they also receive energy. So it's like I always say it's like putting the energy around you on a dialysis machine.
Interesting.
I just try to find ways to make these concepts very, close and comfortable to you, that it's not something far away that you're looking at from a distance. It's like, no, bring this into your own world what am I trying to say? Internalize the information.
Sure.
That's what I'm saying. Internalize it and then make it your own, because we all have gifts and we don't have the same gifts, but we're like a mosaic, and you just put us all together and we are just unstoppable.
Well, let me show people this one. Look at this. Mm-hmm. These are various of your various pyramids all mm-hmm. under the light, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
In other words, this isn't Photoshop.
No, it's not. What I did was I just set them all up. I turned off the lights and then I turned on a UV light, and then you can just see the glow of the pyramids.
If that ain't the most amazing thing, Audrey, listen. I want to show people, because what happened, I was gifted. Mm-hmm. I was gifted this pyramid here. In fact, I'm going to just switch over to me a second. Mm-hmm. This is the pyramid that was made for me as a gift, in fact. Mm-hmm. And it has Lloyd and a 7. Of course, I'm a 7 person. Mm-hmm. And then she made me a smaller one. Mm-hmm. So if you put them side by side, you can see the difference. Mm-hmm. I think that is... And then so at the bottom, at the top are rose quartz.
Mm-hmm. And they has to have rose quartz
you can see the light. See the mm-hmm. light shining?
What's so funny to me, Lloyd, is that when I first started making these pyramids, it was all about the energy. I wasn't trying to design anything pretty or anything like that. I was just all interested in trying to create something that changed the energy around me. But then as I studied, I realized that the ancient Egyptians had this thing where they would combine their art, their science, and their spirituality. And that's what I came to create. I wanted something that combined all of those elements.
Well, what I'm going to do is show some of your pyramids, and can you describe them as we show them? Mm-hmm. And the thing I like is they come in all different shades and colors. They're all quite original. I mean, very rarely do you have... These pyramids are actually one of a kind. What about this one?
Yeah, now this was one that I learned that one of the elements in the pyramids in Egypt was limestone. And so this particular pyramid has a layer of limestone in it with copper beads and glass balls and things of that nature, and the Egyptian symbol of the scarab beetle. So you see, this is aesthetically pleasing. That's wonderful, but that's not the purpose of the pyramids. So they actually have a job. They may seem like they just sit there and it's pretty, and that's wonderful. I love the way they come out, but the main thing is to change the energy in your environment.
What about this one with its beautiful yellow?
Yeah, that one is that's a moon. I don't know what I was figuring on that, but that was like glass, and most of my pyramids, like 95% of them are gonna have copper in them, or sometimes I'll put other metals, but mainly copper is one of the metals that I always like to use because it is a conductor of energy also.
Copper and the fiber optics.
Yes, right. Right.
These things are so beautiful, and they all... what makes it unique, they're all one of a kinds. None of them are exactly the same. Similar, yes, but
Yeah,
none of them are exactly the same. I don't know how you do it.
because in actuality, I don't do it. It's done through me. Well, you know what I'm saying is that I don't say, okay, I'm going to make a pyramid. It's going to have this layer, this layer, this layer. No, I start it, and then it's like a cooperative. I believe everything has consciousness, and when I use quartz crystals, it's like an agreement between me and the crystals that says we know what the goal is. You know, I don't use them. They're like, okay, you're gonna do this. You're about positive energy. Okay, we're with you then. It's weird the way my mother thinks it's crazy the way I give everything like human. You know,
Well, that's how parents work sometimes. What
you
about
know.
this one? This is beautiful.
Yes, that one has now. That's on tumble stones, different types of tumble stones, and that one with some. I think that might be ice glass and the crystal at the top. So all of my pyramids will have fiber optics, rose quartz crystal, and some type of metal. That is
In
going
other
to
words, that would be the signature of all of them.
absolutely. And then whatever else is in there, that's just me adding extra, making it cuter, trying to make something pretty.
What this is green. I like this green.
Yeah, that's green with, I think those are just stones and copper beads and, you know, my
And
usual.
those little pellets are copper beads.
Hmm. Copper BBs.
What about this one? This is one of my favorite colors here.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the let's see, what did I have in there? I think those are colored stones and glass beads and copper BBs. I don't think in any of the ones you're showing, but a lot of my pyramids have other gemstones in them. Like
Okay,
sometimes
like
I put shungite or love. Okay, so that's another one that has basically different types of stones at the bottom.
and what about this one?
That one has plant
And how
material.
you select the colors? All of this talks to you. You don't
Yeah,
say, "Well, I'm gonna make a red one. I'm gonna make a green or yellow." You don't.
I
You
just
don't operate like that. You
no, I
just
just
start.
start because I make them in batches, So for me to say what each one of them is going to look like, I can't do that because first of all, if I start doing that, then I'm going to get in my own way and I start overthinking them. So I just let them make themselves.
Is that what you mean by batches that we see on the screen?
Yeah, exactly. And when you're doing so many at a time, I just, like I say, when I start to think too much, they don't work. It just doesn't come out as well. So I just learned to just do them. Don't think about it. Just say, okay, just do layer after layer, and then have an idea maybe, but nothing really specific, because, like you say, they're all different. So
Yeah, but that's what makes it amazing. It's not, they're all one of a kind coming
yeah.
from one person. And if that's not an example of quantum physics from what's working inside of what we see coming out as the end result,
Mhm.
I don't know. And I know this, children love your pyramids.
Yeah, they do. I have to admit, I love that because I just think they're the ones that are closer to source, and they sense it. They know there's something about it, And like I say, I know people can say a lot of things, and I just think the proof is in the pudding. And so, in addition to my own stories, there's so many other people that have told me things that have happened since they got their pyramids that it's just
Would you like to
confirmation.
share one or two stories with
Oh
us?
gosh, yes, yes. Okay, let me see. I have so many. I'm trying to think. Did I get one that was because someone just told me something recently. Gosh, I can't remember that story. Okay, but let me see what stories I could tell you. I have so many stories. Okay. So I did the African World Festival in Detroit at the Charles Wright Museum for a few years. And
Hmm.
on my first year there, a guy came, he bought a pyramid. Okay, so he came back the next year and he said, my pyramid's working. And I'm like, really? I said, what happened? He says, well, I had a stroke. I'm like, oh, okay. He says, I slept with that pyramid over my head for 3 days, and all the symptoms of my stroke disappeared. I was like, what? And he says, yeah. And he brought his wife with him to confirm his story. And I'm like, I would never tell someone, if you have a stroke, just put the pyramid over your head for 3 days, because people have
Somebody would have said, you got to be kidding. Okay.
Right. Okay. Because I don't know why that happened. I don't know why the energy worked like that with him. There was one lady, she bought a pyramid from me, and she called me, I don't know, a couple of weeks later, and she's like, Audrey, I want you to make a pyramid just like the one you did, and just I want exactly like that. I'm like, whoa, what happened? Why do you want one exactly like that? She said, well, she had brought her pyramid and she had put it in their bedroom, and she's married. And she said, a few days later, her husband said, he said, I noticed that ever since you put that pyramid in the room, I haven't been having the nightmares. He has post-traumatic stress nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
And he told her that ever since she put that pyramid in the room, that he didn't have him. And she was like, oh my goodness. She's like, wait a minute, what's going on? Because, she's like, this is my pyramid. But I said, no, it's not your pyramid. It's not your energy. It's whoever's there they're going to be affected by it. You can't tell. That's what I'm just saying. You just don't know. So, that's why I know there's something going on, because I get too many confirmations from people who have no reason to tell me that.
Now, when I first had you on, you talked about an experience of a person with the pyramids, and all of a sudden they did something with the carbon monoxide or something. Can you recount that again?
Oh, that's my cousins.
What happened?
Well, my cousin called me one day, and she's just like, I need a pyramid. She says everything is going bad, all this negative energy, things are going wrong. And she's like, oh my goodness, she just needed, to change an energy. I was like, okay. So I went to her home, and I took the pyramid with me. And so we're in her bedroom, and we're sitting on the bed, and she's telling me all the things that were going on. And then she got to the point where she said she had been went to emergency like 3 times because she was having these really bad headaches. But every time she go, they would tell her that they couldn't find anything wrong, and they just thought it was stress. And so when she told me that, she says, Audrey, I feel like I'm dying. And I was like, dying? I'm like, okay, wait a minute. So I said, wait a minute, let's get this pyramid out. I had the pyramid on the floor in the bag, and I took it out and I put it on her dresser. And less than 5 minutes later, we heard this beeping sound. And I'm like, what is that? And she said, that's my carbon monoxide detector. So I'm like, okay. So we didn't really know what to do, but we just called 911, and they sent the fire department out with their carbon monoxide detector. And so when they came in, we're sitting in the living room by then. He goes upstairs, and when he comes down, he's like, everyone out of the house, everyone out, open up all these windows, get out of here. And basically he said that the levels of carbon monoxide was so high that if they had stayed in that house, slept in that house one more night, they would all been dead.
That's
okay.
That's deep. We're going to spend a couple of more minutes, but I need for people to see how they can get a hold of you and get their own pyramids. See, as you see right there, my beautiful guest, Audrey Rumbers, quantum metaphysician, pyramid creator, lecturer. Her contact number is 313-758-1381. Is that correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'll repeat that number again, 313-758-1381. Her site is Audrey. So these pyramids that you see that I've shown, I think I downloaded about 40 pyramids. I only showed about maybe 12. Yeah. I mean, I couldn't stop downloading them. They were also beautiful. But if you want to see for yourself, go to Audrey, Audranite.com. And now, where can they order these pyramids from?
On my website.
And that is Audranite.com.
Yes, it is.
And if they want to send their feedback, they can email you at Audranite777@gmail.com.
Yeah, email me, call me. I'm not afraid of the phone. I like you to talk to me on the phone to people, especially people who want to talk about this.
Yeah.
So please feel free to call me. If you have any questions and you just want to talk about these things, if you've had some experience and you thought you were crazy, I'm the person to let you know that.
Well, I think you're going to get quite a few calls there, beautiful lady. And on Instagram is Audrey77. And let me tell you this, you know how I feel with these cash apps. I always ask my guests do they have cash apps, because I don't know how long it takes Audrey to do this. I don't know what the process is, but let me tell you, because you see the end results, no telling how, because then she's got to get the crystals. Am I correct?
Yes.
You got to get the copper beads. You got to get the fiber optics. You got to get a whole lot of things. And then you got to create it out of your imagination. In fact, in my description, I not only described you as quantum metaphysician, pyramid creator, lecturer, and I also put at the end of it, genius. That's my attitude.
Well,
and tell me
we're
I'm
all
wrong.
geniuses.
Tell me
We're
I'm wrong.
all
Okay?
geniuses. We just don't know it.
That's exactly right. That's what I put on there. Genius. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So this is how you do it. So let me just so just a couple of more things with this. Okay, let me do this a second. And we're gonna put this back up. I know I'm over the hour, but I always go over the hour. Anyway. Okay. So with the brand, let's see here. So as I said, so not only do adults love these pyramids, so do children. And what I'm going to show last is, this. You even have pyramids for the car.
Oh, yes, yes.
And I mean, it's smaller, but it's designed for the car. And in fact, I have one in my car.
Yes. Yeah. I'm telling you, the energy is real, guys. It just is. I don't know what to say. But when I tell people, they say, well, what to expect? What can I expect when I get on your pyramids? What's going to happen? I said, well, I don't know what's going to happen. But what I tell people is basically what can go right will go right. That's the only way I can say it.
Well, that's all you need. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's the whole point of having everything go right, I would think. No?
Yeah, absolutely. And because we sometimes, like, if you get into a car accident, you think that's terrible and it's like, oh my goodness, but in actuality, maybe it could have been worse. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I kind of take it, because things happen to everyone. Nothing's going to stop everything from happening.
I've had an incident where the person I told them was a triple star. Day later on, they said they got into a terrible accident. The car was total, completely destroyed, but they walked away. And I don't think people sometimes get the connection.
I know. That's
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He could have been destroyed with that car too.
Yeah, exactly. You got out and you walked away, and it's amazing. So yeah, and I'm sure that has something to do with your own energy, but you don't even realize that you're helping your own self out.
And let me just show one more time, when you make pyramids, when you say you make them in batches, you don't be joking. Okay.
Yes. It's a labor of love.
The pyramids are extremely affordable, embarrassingly affordable. I already had a talk with Audrey, but we'll save that conversation for later. I said, what? Okay, but we ain't gonna go there, Audrey, because today is your birthday, and we're gonna,
yeah, you're gonna be nice
about it. Yeah, you're gonna be nice about it. But first of all, I want to wish you, beautiful lady, happy birthday from the bottom of my heart. And I gotta have you back. I think I gotta have all your back, like you and Dominic and people like that.
Gosh, yeah,
at this high level. And I'm just let y'all run the whole show. Okay?
I would love to.
And let me tell you this. I did not open up a single comment section, but you have over 207 comments. You got over 207 comments. I just needed to just focus, because I had all these pyramids. It took me a while to lay all this out so people could really get a sense, because the first time we didn't do this when you were back in October.
No,
I think I brought mine out. See, I got mine, this, that, the other. You know what I'm saying? I'm bragging. I got the little one, and I got one for the car and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm talking smack, okay? but this gives a person a chance to see with their own two eyes
Yeah.
the genius of how you do this. And they're
Mhm.
all one of a kinds.
Yeah.
There are no duplicates. There are similarities. There are similar
Mhm.
ones, yes,
Yeah.
but
Right.
every single one of them is an original.
Mhm.
And so I'm saying all y'all need to have a Ordinite piece. That's what you call it, Ordinite. Not I'm calling it
Yes.
Ordinite. They need to have an
Arginine.
Ordinite pyramid in their
Yes.
home. So
Yes.
let me do this again. Yes, I like to give people their props, please. This is how you get in touch with Audrey. Okay. And I'm serious. I want y'all to support this sister. I want y'all to give her a call for those of you who may have had the pyramids and had some experiences. And hold on, let me do this right. There we go. And blow this up a second. Again, so for those of you who, there we go. So for those of you, it's Audrey Rumbers. That's her name. And see what struck me, I says, darn, that's close enough to numbers. I says, right there, we're gonna get along, okay? Just a switch of a letter, but
That
we
was
got it. We
something.
got this. We got this. I like it her already. Rumbers with numbers, okay? So I like
Yeah.
that right away. She is a quantum metaphysician. She is a pyramid creator, a lecturer, and she's actually a genius. And if you think you can do this and do this at the level that she does, then y'all let me know. And in fact, you'll call her at 313-758-1381 to let y'all know how she did that. Again, call her at 313-758-1381. And her website where you can see all these beautiful pyramids. As I said, I downloaded 40. I just showed just a small sampling. But I was
Mhm.
just so amazed at like, how'd you do this? How'd you decide the color? How did you decide the design? I mean, I could ask you questions for another hour. Okay, but go to her website, ordinite.com. Her email is ordinite777 at gmail.com. So if you've got pyramids and send, you've had an experience one way or the other that you want to
Mhm.
share so she can add this to her stories. You
Please.
need to write a book, okay?
You keep telling me, Lord.
Yeah, well, you know how I
I'm
do.
getting all of my
Yeah,
information.
when people come in my space, because all of this is ancient African sciences,
Yes, it is.
if
Yes, it
nothing
is. It's
else.
our stuff.
And what
It
I'm saying is
really
we
is.
need to recapture this.
Yeah.
We need to share this. And I need to plug this thing in before we're disconnected like I was with Dominic the other day. Hold on, let me.
Oh,
Okay, let's see. Come on. Here we go. Save the day. All righty. And
Yes.
her Instagram is Audrey at 77. You can see it on Instagram.
Mhm.
And her Cash App, please. $ Audrey 777. Audrey 777. And again, beautiful lady, I want to wish you happy birthday today. And
Thank you.
I
I really
pray that
enjoyed
all the
spending it with
stars
you.
from heaven and God's energy shine upon you and give you peace and monies, okay, to pay some bills up in there. Please
Right.
kiss your mom for me. Tell her I said
Yes,
hi,
yes, I
you
will.
know. And Audrey, thank you. You got me grinning. This is nice. I'm very, very honored that you would grace me
Well, I
with your presence
enjoyed it.
on tonight's
Please.
show. All
I
right.
appreciate the opportunity, Lord. I really do.
And hold on just 1 second, because I have this little thing that for Wednesday, I'm going to have a lady who specializes in hair. Now, when I have guests on this, I don't be joking. This lady, Rose Bonner, let me see, right here. There she is. Uh, she is going to be my guest this coming Wednesday. And everybody, she's going to talk about unlocking the secrets for relaxers, perms, and colors. You ladies spend billions of dollars on your nails, your toes, and your hair. So she's going to give you some insight as to the textures, some of the do's and don'ts and whatnot. But her name is Rose Bonner, and she is going to really, because you women are great. You know what I'm saying? Y'all a little complicated. Y'all got a little bit more. See, we just get a haircut, brush our teeth, wash our face in the story, but she will do this for you. And so again, beautiful lady.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm trying to get us both on here. How am I doing that? Okay, good. Okay, there we go. There we go.
All right.
Anyway, I'm getting the hang of this.
You are.
Audrey
Thank you so
Rumbers,
much.
thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, everybody. So I'm going to end this segment now with this little song. It ain't gonna last the whole thing, but it's gonna be signing out. And again, happy birthday. Much love to you and your family. Much success. And for those of you out there listening, you'll need to have a pyramid in your home, in your bedroom. I need
Yes.
to ask you, how did he hang it over his head? You see what I'm saying? But that's
I
a whole nother
think,
story for another
yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, okay, yeah.
day.
But I think he had on his headboard or something like that. I think that's kind of what he meant.
Well, that's the most amazing thing. And God bless you for coming up with things of this nature too. All righty.
You.
So, Audrey, just hold on a second. Everybody, I want to thank you. I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday, okay, the 19th, with my very special guest, who is a hair expert, Rose Bonner, okay? And so I'm going to play this little theme.